first things first, there was an update to the Master Duel Forbidden and Limited list, and this is not a blind reaction because this happened yesterday, and I unfortunately wasn't live yesterday, but I have seen it, obviously. This is very much in line with previous Master Duel ban list updates, I would say. Like, it follows a very distinct pattern here of, once again, like, slight consistency hits. I am not a big fan of the way they're doing this because it doesn't really change that much about the deck's viabilities, but let's talk about these one by one, I guess. That's not going to take too long because there's only 3 changes. We have Super Heavy Samurai Soul Piercer Limited. Out of these 3 hits, that is my least favorite one, and I'm going to talk about why I'm actually not too mad about semi-limiting Snake Eye Ash and Wanted. But Soul Piercer to 1 is just outright, like, I don't know, it's weird. This was at 3, I believe, because the card that they previously hit was the wagon, right? They have not hit the Soul Piercer, or was it at 2? It was at 2 already. Okay. I don't know why they do it this way instead of just hitting the Link monster like the TCG did. I feel like that's long overdue. At the same time, Super Heavy Samurai isn't even that popular in Master Duel anymore, so I guess I understand the motivation of not trying to outright kill the deck, but yeah, I don't know. I one Soul Piercer is kind of whatever. It does make certain cards better against the deck, like DD Crow. I feel like is more impactful if you can hit their only Soul Piercer for the rest of the game. But I guess, you know, like Super Heavy Samurai got like 30% in the DC Cup. It is still a scary deck, especially in like a tournament environment, best of 1 style. It can be very troublesome. The problem that I have is that one Soul Piercer doesn't really change that much in terms of what the deck can do, right? You can still do the very same things most of the time, unless your Soul Piercer gets like DD Crowd now. But for the most part, if you open Vakaushi, the combo is still the same thing. If you open Wagon, the combo is still the same thing. If you open the one of Soul Piercer, the combo also is still the same thing. But right. Maybe there are some lines that need to, but for the most part, I think it does the same combos as before, just slightly less often. Well, okay. Snake Eye Ash to 2 and Wanted to 2. Now, will this mean that Snake Eyes are not the best deck anymore? Absolutely not. It's funny because now we're seeing 2 different approaches in the TCG and in Master Duel on how to tackle Snake Eyes, right? So it is clear that with both ban lists for Master Duel and the TCG, they don't want to kill Snake Eyes. There's no way that they intend for any of these hits to kill Snake Eyes, right? In the TCG, they decided to do this by only hitting some of their generic extra deck tools. As a result, the main deck was pretty much untouched and is still running rampant and is still by far the most played deck. We'll talk about that in a second when we discuss the YCS rally results. But for the most part, that was their attempt, right? Master Duel is doing it differently. Master Duel is hitting the main deck cards, but it is obviously not doing it harsh enough to where the deck was, you know, like the deck is not going to die from this, obviously. The reality is, if you really want an effective way to deal with Snake Eyes, you have to do both things, I think. Like for the TCG, what we were missing was a slight hit to the main deck and it would have been fine. For Master Duel, slight main deck hits are okay, but it would be better if they hit something on top of it, like maybe a generic extra deck card for the deck, and then overall it'd be okay. The reason why I am okay with these specific hits, like you guys know most of the time I don't love consistency hits, but I've talked about these in the past. Specifically, Snake Eye Ash and Wanted are cards that I like to see on the ban list for a multitude of reasons. For Wanted, I'm not a big fan of Wanted. I feel like Wanted like induces a lot of frustration. At least for me personally, it's like Wanted is just so much better than Diabellstar, even though it is kind of meant to just be another copy of Diabellstar, if that makes sense. Because if my opponent opens Diabellstar, I feel fine. Like, my opponent sends a card away from their hand to get Diabellstar. If I can, like, deal with some other stuff that they have, I feel okay. Like, it's like an investment that they put into a Diabellstar is fine. If they open Wanted, it's just for no reason they get the Diabellstar, but they also get to draw a card later and recycle the original. Like, I feel like maybe the card shouldn't have had, yeah, like people in chat are suggesting maybe you should have had the draw in later turns, not both effects in the same turn. Something like that. I don't know, but I feel like hitting the ratio at which people draw Wanted as opposed to just drawing Diabellstar is fine, because drawing Diabellstar feels so much more manageable than drawing Wanted. And it is still the best extender as well. Diabellstar / Wanted is the best extender for the deck and also a starter. So taking one of those away is, I think, a bigger deal than you would expect, even though it's still going to be consistent enough for sure. But without drawing the Wanted or Diabellstar, you play through hand traps less efficiently, so that's fine. And Snake Eye Ash to 2 is, in my opinion, also a decent hit, because what I like about it is if you don't draw Snake Eye Ash, you have to use another resource to find it, and that makes your combos usually more vulnerable. Like, if you have to use your Bonfire to find Snake Eye Ash, you can't use that Bonfire to get Poplar to play through hand traps. If you have to use your Diabellstar to get original Sinful Spoil to get Snake Eye Ash because you didn't draw it, you can't use the original Sinful Spoil to summon Jet Synchron, to summon Hydrant, or eventually, when it happens to Master Duel, to summon Ponix. So I think hitting Snake Eye Ash is more than just a consistency hit, because cards like Bonfire and Wanted and Diabellstar, they can access your Snake Eye Ash, but you lose out on something if you have to do that, right? Hard drawing Snake Eye Ash is by far the best thing you can do, because it leaves you with all the options for the rest of the turn. So surprisingly, I actually don't hate the semi-limits of these two cards. That being said, overall, what I said earlier remains the same. Like, this will not kill Snake Eye. It does make it sometimes more manageable, essentially, right? But I guess because we have more frequent updates to the Master Duel ban list, that's not that big of a deal. But overall, not the biggest deal of a ban list, but the Snake Eye changes I actually don't hate, even though they're obviously not big enough to really impact the deck on a greater scale. But yeah. I just think it's interesting that they decided to do the opposite of the TCG, which I guess that's often the case recently with the TCG ban lists. Really have stepped up their game in terms of what to do about the deck. But I feel like, as an example, I feel like if we had gotten these two hits in the TCG as well, I think it would have been a pretty banger ban list.